Guys, welcome back to Mids from the middle of the Midwest. I'm your host, Nixon the Dark, continuing with the same topic from last time. Within 50 years, women will lose the right to vote because men will take it from them. The next two segments discuss how this may happen. Now, as I have said before, I don't really have an opinion on whether women should retain the rights they currently have. Personally, I'm mostly in favor of women's rights, but I'm doing these segments because I simply don't expect women to retain these rights in perpetuity. I will be shocked if women's rights exist as they do now in 100 years. It just doesn't seem feasible to me. Those rights will probably go away. So the question is how? Some of you suspect that women will lose their rights like all of us will lose our rights because of the rise of like an authoritarian dictator who seizes power and turns us into a nation like China or Russia, like communist rule. This could happen. I'm not going to rule it out, but it's not a scenario that I take seriously, and it's not one I'm considering. If you have a good argument for it, hey, by all means. Rather, I see the loss of women's rights happening in one of two ways: democracy or anarchy. Today, democracy. So here is the democratic route by which women will lose their rights. I personally do not expect this to happen. I think it's going to be anarchy. But if it does, this would be the preferred way. Constitutional amendments happen by social movements. Somebody says, hey, repeal the 19th Amendment. And then a bunch of other people are like, dude, that's some crazy misogynist red pill idea. Get the fuck out of here with that. Then a couple of decades of ruthless hypergamy, and all of a sudden people are taking it seriously. And if this groundswell starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, then what happens is somebody proposes a constitutional amendment. This does happen all the time, but they usually get nowhere. There's a very difficult ratification process that must be followed. It involves every single state, and it's a really high bar. That's why there have been so few constitutional amendments in the 250 years of our republic. Probably, I think, less than 30 still. Now, most people doubt this would happen because they're convinced that our politics is like really divided, and also like, why would women give up their right to vote? To start with, our politics is actually not nearly as divided as people claim. The whole concept of us being divided that's kind of like a media revenue generating model. That's not reality. Our electorate, oddly enough, is more unified now than it's been in at least the last 50 years or more. That's men and women. So here is our hot take. We don't do a whole lot of electoral politics on this channel, but today you're in luck. Nixon on politics coming at ya. So, has there been a more idiotic and self-destructive political strategy than the Democrats embracing ruthless hypergamy for the last 20 years? I think this will go down as almost as dumb as slavery. They literally told women, their core constituents, don't have kids, get abortions, ride the cock carousel, focus on your career, blame men for everything, secure the bag, you do what's right for you, fuck everyone else. And by the way, women did, at least women who supported the Democratic Party. At the same time, they told men, hey guys, fuck off. You're the problem. You created this mess. So men did. Men pretty much left the Democratic Party. Percentage wise, it's a huge, huge disparity. Now, in fairness, the Democrats are technically a pro-sex party. No doubt about it. I agree. Democrats are in favor of sex. The problem is they hate normie sex. You know, a man and a woman getting together, creating, not aborting, birthing and raising a child together sex. Democrats look down on this type of sex, and they tend to laugh at people who do this. Unfortunately, this is the only type of sex that you can perform to create future Democrats. There are no future Democrats. Thus, the political support for ruthless hypergamy is being killed off by ruthless hypergamy. At this point, even the pedestalizing future is female hipster soy gentlemen are getting scarred and red pilled by ruthless hypergamy. It truly spares no one. Now, the Democratic Party, as a party, it probably will survive this horrible strategy, but it will only do so by imitating conservatives and eventually, at some point, embracing what men actually want. As I've said, men always vote with their dicks. Men do love sexual variety, but they will take the sex they can actually have, no matter how traditional, over the sex that other people get to have any day of the week. This is the trajectory of our political process. Democrats, they will either abandon ruthless hypergamy and once again embrace the traditional values that result in children at the expense of women's rights, or they will die off and something else traditional will replace them. If and when that happens, you will see that the future of public policy, politics, law, democracy, voting is male. It is very male. And women will be on board with this because, as I just said, the women who aren't, they aren't having children. If this goes far enough, even women will vote against retaining their right to vote. Women follow men. Give it 50, maybe 100 years. So that's my prediction for the democratic process. That's your democracy if you can keep it. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and final thought. I don't actually see this happening. And the reason I don't see this happening has nothing to do with feminism and the future is female class reclaiming political power. That absolutely will not happen in our lifetimes. Rather, there simply isn't enough time. Our population is crashing. The left is running out of children much faster than the right, but both sides are running out of people way too fast. This decline will accelerate and it will fall off a cliff before we get to the 22nd century. This will create anarchy, in which case the future is not just male, the future is exclusively male. We'll cover that on the next segment. Take care.